The international airport buzzed with energy, a ceaseless symphony of sounds filling the massive terminal. The rhythmic hum of rolling luggage, the occasional burst of distant chatter, and the echo of automated announcements created an atmosphere of controlled chaos. Among the sea of travelers, Captain Rafi Del Rosario moved effortlessly. Dressed in casual jeans and a polo shirt, he blended seamlessly with the crowd. His modest appearance gave no hint of the extraordinary achievements he carried as a seasoned Filipino-American pilot. Despite his unassuming demeanor, Rafi bore the weight of decades of experience. He had spent his career pioneering aviation safety and developing groundbreaking protocols that had reshaped the industry. Today was no different. He was en route to a prestigious aviation summit where he was scheduled to present on the cutting-edge safety measures he had helped craft. For Rafi, this was just another day, and the significance of his accomplishments rested lightly on his broad shoulders. As he approached a restricted area leading to the exclusive lounge for airline crew, Rafi was met with a sudden interruption. Standing firmly by the access point was Officer Liam Carter, a security guard with a reputation for being overly skeptical, especially toward travelers who didn't fit his narrow view of belonging. Tall and burly, Carter's presence was as imposing as his hardened demeanor. His sharp eyes locked onto Rafi with suspicion, and his brows furrowed in judgment. "Excuse me, sir," Carter said, stepping squarely into Rafi's path, his tone edged with authority. "This is a restricted area. Passengers aren't allowed beyond this point." Rafi responded with a calm, polite smile and reached into his pocket for his ID. "Officer, I'm not a passenger. I'm a pilot, heading to the crew lounge before my flight." Carter's expression hardened further as he looked Rafi up and down, his disbelief plain. "A pilot? Really? You don't look like one." He held out his hand. "Let me see that ID." Maintaining his composure, Rafi handed over his badge, his years of professionalism guiding him to remain steady despite Carter's dismissive tone. Carter glanced briefly at the ID before shaking his head, his smirk laced with condescension. "This doesn't look legit," he scoffed. "Where'd you get this?" "Some website." By now, the interaction had drawn a small crowd. Curious onlookers began to gather, their whispers and murmurs creating a subtle but growing tension in the air. Some pulled out their phones, eager to capture the unfolding drama. Rafi, taking a deep breath, kept his voice measured. "Officer," he said firmly, "I can assure you my ID is authentic. I've been flying for decades. If you need additional verification, please contact airport administration." But Carter wasn't ready to back down. He sneered, his skepticism cutting through the air. "Flying for decades, huh? Maybe paper airplanes. You sure don't look like any pilot I've ever seen." The murmurs in the crowd grew louder, fueled by both shock and disbelief. Among the bystanders was Laura Stevens, a renowned aviation journalist who had just arrived on a flight. As soon as she spotted Rafi, recognition flashed across her face. She had written about him numerous times, his contributions gracing the covers of industry publications. Without hesitation, she stepped forward, her instincts as a journalist kicking in. "What's going on here?" Laura's voice sliced through the tension, sharp and authoritative. Carter turned to her, irritation evident in his expression. "Just handling a security situation, ma'am," he said curtly. "This man claims he's a pilot, but his story doesn't check out." Laura's brows knitted together as she glanced between Rafi and Carter. "Claims?" she repeated, her tone incredulous. "Do you have any idea who this man is?" Carter raised an eyebrow, his skepticism unwavering. "Should I?" he asked flatly. "This," Laura said, her voice rising for emphasis, "is Captain Rafi Del Rosario, one of the most respected figures in aviation. He's revolutionized safety protocols and received numerous awards for his groundbreaking contributions to the industry. If anyone belongs here, it's him." Gasps rippled through the crowd as Laura's words spread. The murmurs turned to whispers of admiration, and the mood shifted almost instantly. Carter's once confident expression faltered, uncertainty creeping into his hardened exterior. Carter's confidence wavered as he muttered defensively, That's not what his ID looked like to me. His tone lacked the assertiveness it held earlier, but the damage was already done. Laura crossed her arms, her piercing gaze fixed on the officer. Maybe that's because you didn't bother to look properly, she snapped, her voice sharp with frustration. Or perhaps you assumed he couldn't be who he said he was simply because of how he looks. Either way, Officer Carter, you owe him an apology. Before Carter could muster a response, the airport director, Martin Hayes, arrived, having been alerted by the commotion. As soon as Hayes spotted Rafi, his face broke into a wide smile of recognition. Captain Del Rosario, Hayes exclaimed, striding toward him. My sincerest apologies for the delay. Is everything all right? Rafi nodded, though a trace of frustration lingered in his expression. There was a misunderstanding, he said evenly. Officer Carter, here, didn't think I looked the part of a pilot. Hayes's face darkened, his smile fading into a stern expression as he turned toward Carter. Officer, he said, his tone sharp and authoritative, Captain Del Rosario is a guest of honor at today's Aviation Summit. He's not just a pilot, he's a pioneer in aviation safety. I expect far better judgment from my staff. Carter stammered, his bravado crumbling under the weight of Hayes's disapproving gaze. I didn't know, he trailed off, his face flushing with embarrassment. That's exactly the problem, Laura interjected, her voice firm and unyielding. You didn't take the time to find out. Instead, you jumped to conclusions based on nothing but your own assumptions. By now, the videos recorded by bystanders had started spreading like wildfire across social media platforms. Within hours, hashtags like #RespectRafi and #end racial profiling began trending globally. Outrage poured in from all corners of the internet, with people condemning the officer's behavior and calling for accountability. News outlets quickly picked up the story, amplifying its reach and sparking a broader conversation about the biases and challenges faced by professionals from diverse backgrounds. Although Rafi was visibly shaken by the encounter, he refused to let it overshadow his purpose for the day. Later, standing confidently before a packed audience of industry leaders at the Aviation Summit, he was the embodiment of poise and determination. His voice rang out, steady and passionate, as he addressed the crowd. Our skies, Rafi began, his tone commanding, are shared by people from every corner of the world. If we are to navigate them safely and successfully, we must learn to recognize and value the contributions of all individuals, regardless of their background, ethnicity, or appearance. Bias, he paused, his gaze sweeping the audience, has no place in our industry or any industry. The room erupted in applause. The thunderous ovation quickly turned into a standing tribute, the admiration in the room palpable. Applause echoed for what felt like minutes, a testament to the impact of Rafi's words. Among the cheering crowd stood Laura, her eyes shining with pride as she captured the moment for her article, knowing it would inspire countless readers. Meanwhile, in a break room tucked away from the summit's grandeur, Officer Carter sat alone, watching the event coverage on a small television. His face was a mixture of shame and introspection, his earlier bravado replaced by a deep sense of regret. The airport administration had placed him on suspension, requiring him to attend cultural sensitivity and professional conduct training. The footage of his encounter with Rafi replayed in his mind over and over, each frame forcing him to confront the biases that had fueled his actions. As the summit concluded, Rafi was approached by passengers, colleagues, and admirers eager to shake his hand and offer words of support. Despite the unjust start to his day, it ended with an overwhelming outpouring of respect and admiration for his resilience and character. The incident and its aftermath became a powerful symbol of resilience and progress, shining a spotlight on the systemic changes still needed in industries worldwide. Yet, it also celebrated the strength of those who rise above adversity to inspire others. Captain Rafi Del Rosario's legacy as an aviation pioneer remained untarnished. His story became a beacon of hope and possibility, a testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of inclusivity. For generations to come, his journey would serve as a reminder that change is not only possible but necessary, and that every challenge is an opportunity to inspire progress.